Hey guys, welcome back to the 16th tutorial in our multiplayer game, and we'll be working on adding objects right now. So I've made all these objects from a previous thing that I'm using right now and converted them to symbols in different folders, as you can see here, and given them instance names. Easy way to do this, like this tree for example. Right click your object that you've drawn and you want to use as an object in the level editor. Click convert to symbol, name it, then press export for action script. You might not see that, so click this advanced button, export for action script, and make the registration point down here. Click OK. Then just drag it in one of these folders. So instead of, I'll put it in nature folder. Nature folder, natural items, objects, random objects, and structures are like buildings. So fence, go in object folder. Now that we have all these things here, well, this was actually an untitled document. So let's open up our game right now, and we need to import these things. So real quickly, all we need to do is go here, click map resources, right click copy, then go into the multiplayer game, and anywhere just press paste. So you can see map resources down here, and these are all the resources that we use. Now we want to make buttons to add them to our game. Let's just focus on adding one thing right now, which will be the bush. So let's make our buttons. Go into multiply into our vcam editor, copy this button up here, rename this as bush, and if you want to get a little fancy, just drag out the bush here, press Ctrl B to break it so it will no longer be a movie clip, and just press Ctrl G to group it and put it up here. So this is the bush, and in the actions for this button on release, we see root dot attach movie, and the ID name will be whatever this instance name is, which is bush. So put that in quotes, it will be bush. Our new name, just leave it as bush. The depth will be root dot object depth, and then the init objects, the x. So for init objects, these deal with the x and y values. So you can open those curly brackets, put in underscore x instead of equal to, right, colon, so the x will be root dot camera dot x, comma y, colon, root dot camera dot underscore y, and well, we don't need to swap depths, so that's it. So close your curve parentheses, put your brackets, and finish that off. We will need to define object depth. So back to the scene, in the code, after we put stop, we'll say object depth if global dot load map is equal to false, equal to false, well, two equal signs means if it's equal to false, and paste this below here, then the object depth will be 10. Let's start off at 10, so we can use 1 to 9 as different things. So object depth will be 10, and then it will do all these things. So if the global load map is equal to false, or if it is equal to undefined, so if not global.load map, do these things. Else, if global.load map is equal to true, want to call the function load map, which we have not made. Function load map, and then we'll set global.load map to false again. And let's also make clear objects. So also in the bush, after we've attached the movie clip, we want object depth to increase. So underscore root dot object depth plus plus. Let's test this and see. So we have a bush, let's add it. So it's added. And it adds to the center of the VCAM. Once again, don't add it somewhere outside here because it will not be able to remove and it will mess up the queue. So don't add anything out here, anything here, but you can add it here. So you can call those precautions if you would like to. Also, let's just quickly make two arrows. This is like crosshair. So that will be the center of the stage, which will tell everyone where the object will be. So that's where the object will be. If we press bush, that's where the objects are. So you may know if you are outside the map. So that's what that does. And now we can work on moving the objects. So in this button again, we'll also say, after we set its Y, we say comma on enter frame colon underscore root dot object loop, which we have to make again. So back to scene 1, function object loop, and here we'll see this dot on press So this dot on press is equal to start drag. This. Errors. I think we may need to take out these brackets here. Well, let's just take this. Inside, just change this to this dot on press is equal to function start drag false. I think it should be true, but I've used false in this way before and it did work. So. No? Okay. Let's change it to true. It still does not work. Well, then maybe we should try. Let's put this in front. So this does start drag true. And if we add a bush and click it, start drag is true. But what I do notice is that when we drag the object, it goes to its X point, which is on the bottom. So let's see if we do false. So false, you can drag it from anywhere, but if you put true, it might go to the midpoint. So this does start drag false. And we also want to check to release. So this dot on release is equal to this dot on release outside, which is equal to function this dot stop drag. So we'll be able to release it. So let's drag it up there, let's drag it down here. But if we're currently dragging it and then we move the VCAM, it will stop dragging one time. So it won't still be dragging. It's still dragging, it's not. So that's how that works, and we can drag multiple objects at different places. But you may notice that some objects appear over others no matter where they are. So if we put it on top here, it's still over the object. So we want its positions to swap based on its y value. So the further up the object is on a y-axis, then that object's y value will be less. It will swap that value. So this dot release outside, we'll make a variable to be the y value at first. So we'll say new depth is equal to this dot underscore y, and then swap depths, this dot swap depths, this dot new depth. So swap depths with this dot new depth. So it should appear above other objects. So yes, it does. So he's under, when we release, he goes above. And this object loop will be used for every object, no matter if it's natural or anything like that, unless it's an item and we want to use items. We make an item loop which will make it be able to be collected or dropped. So now let's add the other objects. So we have bush here. Just copy these three and group this. So bush, if we drag it down, we can change it up. Change this to rock, and in the button itself just say attach movie rock, and that's it. You can now add rock to the game. Adding this rock object is not really necessary, but it kind of helps to make the user know what they are adding to the server. So you can add bush or rock, and they will swap depths accordingly. So let's just copy it again. Tree, remember we're using the instance name, so if this is tree f but the instance name is still tree, then use tree. But if this is tree alone and the instance name is something like tree123, when we try to access this object, we'll use tree123. We're looking for wherever it says AS linkage, just the action strip linkage. So this is the tree. And all we need to do in the button is change these two things. Change this to tree, this to tree. You can leave everything else to go to a stop object loop and everything like that. Note, shrinking this object here will not shrink the actual object in your game. Remember, we drag the object here, then we press break apart or Control B, and then we turn it into a group. So it's not actually a movie clip, it's just a graphical drawing. So we're going to use this to add all the other objects in the game as well. So I've added all the objects. and they should be able to be played, well, added to the game. But if you realize that's a lot of objects and they go underneath the VCAM. So if we try to test this, it actually stretches the VCAM. So instead of doing this, go to the default frame and where it says VCAM frame, just duplicate this and call it follow. No, call it map details. As a matter of fact, just cancel that. Drag this VCAM frame to our frame, copy all the code inside here, cut it from here, paste it inside here, and in this frame you see on clip event and enter frame x will be equal to camera dot underscore x and y will be equal to camera dot underscore y. So name this instance name to camera and just change this instance name to something like follow, since he follows the camera. And also go inside follow and where it says actions, delete all these actions from here. So what this does, instead of stretching anything, it actually just follows. So he's not showing the screen. Oops, my bad. This is how it will look. So it follows the camera since we changed it to root. And take out this swap depth from here since we don't need this swap depth in the camera, and put it in the follower. So now we can move around as usual. If you go to the menu, this happens. That's because since it swapped a depth so high, it won't be able to come up. So when we go to menu and we look to clear all objects, we'll actually call a function called go to menu. So root dot exit editor. And take out this root and go to a stop menu. And now on the code frame, we'll also make that function exit editor root dot go to one stop menu and root dot follow dot remove movie clip. So it should delete the follower movie clip, causing us not to see it again. So it is gone. and it's back here again, but it's gone every time you go back to menu. And another thing you notice, we don't see classroom, we don't see all these objects below here. And if we try to drag it to put, if we try to put them up here, then it really blocks a lot of space, so the user won't really be able to interact a lot. So let's make it be able to scroll. So go in components, to find your components, go to window, and components is right here, or you can just press Ctrl and F7 to open up your components, and inside user interface scroll down until you see I think it's scroll pane. Drag this out here, close this back. Select all our buttons individually so that you don't mess up this outline. So just group that outline, select these buttons. So we have all these buttons selected. Convert it to symbol and call it objects. So these are all the objects that we added. Make the registration point in top left, press OK. And when we go inside here, just make sure everything is selected again, and position as I just say X and Y. So just move this by 5, so 5 pixels left, right, and 5 pixels down. The width of this button is 138, so the width of this scroll pane will be 10 pixels more. Since I put it to 5 pixels off the offset, we also want it to have a distance of 5. So this width will be 148. And you can make the height whatever you want it to be. Drag it up in the corner. And in our library where we made objects, right click it, go to properties, export to ActionScript with the instance name of objects, and in our scroll pane in the properties, set the content path to objects. You can mess around with these other controls to see what they do, but we can delete this from here now. And if we run it, all the objects are here. So we can scroll down and see all of them and add them. We may want to make this a bit bigger. So that there's only one scroll down. So actually, instead of making it 10 pixels away, we try to make it 30 pixels away. So change this to 168. So this is it, and we have all our objects. Another reason why it's good to add all the in the objects. Why to add the this arrow thing to the bottom is so that when swapping objects it will be easier. So this will be the point of collision and all that. So we have this, and we work on saving next, or making default textures. Actually, this is it for this tutorial. We probably work on saving and loading next. So I'll make a saving in a way that you can save multiple objects. I'll just open the engine and let you guys work on it. But for now, that's it. Leave any questions in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye.